Hello, everybody. Welcome to Adobe Live. We're here for day 2 with Elizé.
Hello.
And hello from sunny San Francisco. How's everyone in the world doing? Make sure you're logged into Behance, and so you can join the chat. And there's going to be a sticker giveaway later for the chat and win. So make sure you're logged in now and save yourself the time to do it later. We have a great follow-up of yesterday's work to show you. But before we do that, just want to remind you that there's a creative challenge that Andrea Hawk had put together, and so some really great work that we're going to be reviewing today from yesterday, so we'll be able to see some more stuff.
Great.
And give some more feedback, so that's going to be really fun. And just reminder, just to log in and say what's up. We want to know where you're from, maybe how the weather is. Actually, a really great day here today, so we're just like really stoked to just get in this, but we want to know where you're from and where you're joining us. Just to give Elizé a little follow-up on what we did yesterday. So you want to kind of talk to us a review for you that didn't join us yesterday. Elizé is doing a case study.
So for those who didn't join yesterday, I'm going to do a little recap. And so first of all, my name is Elizé, and I am from Los Angeles, and I'm a UX Design Strategist, Educator, and YouTuber. And what I do for the most part is I help businesses grow and mentor their design teams. I also help designers individually go to that next stage in their career. So how I do that is, I try to make sure it's entertaining and educational at the same time, which is why I created this YouTube channel. Because I believe if you are entertained, you're going to be more engaged. And if you're more engaged, then that information is just going to intercept into your brain even deeper, and it'll stay sticky with you longer.
Yeah.
So I created this YouTube channel, this new YouTube series called UX Makeovers, where I completely transform a nonprofit website, and I show my full UX process, and I define some UX jargon in really easy to understand ways. For example, like competitive comparative analysis.
Right.
If you don't know what that is, it's just stealing the best stuff your competitors are doing and then removing the stuff that your competitors are doing wrong. So that's kind of what you're doing with that. So this is a couple links to my social media, my YouTube, my Instagram, and my email. And why I have that up is because I'm offering some free mentorship. Woo!
Yeah.
That's my giveaway.
That's really great.
And who I'm giving it to is 5 new subscribers. If you subscribed yesterday, thank you. And if you're subscribing today, you are and you take a screenshot of it and send it to me to my Instagram or my email, you are in the raffle for a free 30-minute session with me. So we can talk about your career. We can go look at a design case study. We can look at your portfolio. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about, basically. And I want to just show here, since yesterday, I have this goal to hit 300 subscribers by the end of the month. And yesterday morning, when I woke up, I took a screenshot. I had 222 subscribers. After this morning I woke up, I took a screenshot and I got 270 subscribers. I got about 50 more subscribers since yesterday.
That's great.
So so thank you so much. I'm a new channel. I don't have that many subscribers. So I'm really just trying to grow my subscriber base so that I can just do more content. So if you're interested, just send me that screenshot to my Instagram, email, or you can even send it on Facebook, Twitter. Just find me online and send it to me, and you will be in the raffle. All right, so I have this hashtag here, Design Makeover Movement, because I'm asking for other designers to also consider engaging with this movement of helping nonprofits or local community programs in your area, because they do not have, very often, resources to pay designers to help them with their design challenges, and designers love design challenges. So if you are interested in doing this and being part of this movement and showcasing your work online, just use this hashtag so we can talk about it, we can commiserate, and we could have our own design community that are helping our larger communities.
That's great. And for everyone joining us, you can follow that hashtag or use it yourself. And if you get inspired to, just hashtag it. But just want to say hello to Terrence Hall from Chicago. Thanks for joining us. And look, we have people from Azerbaijan, like all over the world. People are joining us from Trinidad and Tobago.
Ooh,
You didn't bring your
Trinidad!
glasses? Did you bring your glasses?
I didn't bring my glasses to San Francisco. Yeah.
Look, and
You
we
can
have-
tell. I'm like, I got my squinty eyes on. I'm like, who's here?
Argentina, like look at this. It's like people from around the world are here, and they're learning a lot about like how to design in a different way where you're applying it to a real world setting. And that's the whole thing about like when you create design challenges for yourself, using contextually relevant opportunities to make that happen.
Yeah,
right?
real world challenges, and maybe not just, because it's one thing to create your own like design challenges
Yeah.
for your portfolio, but it's a whole nother ball game
Right.
when you have real world challenges, like, and you start to really build empathy for your users when you're working on nonprofits, because when you start doing user interviews, user testing, you find that people are really in need, and it really helps to make you a better designer when you build that empathy.
Right.
So we're featuring CHS, Children's Home Society of California today. This is who we're doing the design makeover for. And who they are is they help parents in need with child care. So, you know, parents who are working and they can't make ends meet or what have you, whatever situation they're in, they help with that support, that child care support. So this is what we went over yesterday. I crossed it off because we're done with day one. But
Feels good to do that.
yeah, it does feel good. It's like crossing it off the list,
Yeah.
my to-do list. So the first thing we did was a heuristic evaluation, which meant collectively we judged the site. We were like, this isn't working. This is working on the site, right? I asked the audience for help with that, and then we did a user interview, or I showed you a user interview where it was a 2-minute video of me interviewing a mom who was looking for help on CHS. We learned a little about her motives, her goals, some of her problems that she had on the site. And then we went over user flows, sketches, and mid-fidelity wireframes. I'm not gonna go too deep into what those are because I'm gonna show you in a minute in my design file. And then day 2, which is today, we are gonna be starting with some the results from the user test that I did last night. So we did mid-fi wireframes yesterday. And last night I did some user testing and I edited the clip and I'm showing it to you this morning. It's the first thing we're gonna kickstart our day with, which I'm so excited about. I love user tests.
It's gonna be, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, so it's only about 2 minutes. I like just give you the good parts of it. And then right after that, we're gonna do high fidelity screens and we're gonna be doing some auto animation and prototyping. So we got some fun stuff, some visual stuff.
Yeah, you got the whole process kind of like compacted into
Yeah.
2 days. I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of setup that you do before to make sure everything is right, but like being able to walk someone through your process is also a very powerful thing.
Yeah, totally. I love doing it. I love sharing it. It's
Yeah.
it's like nerve-wracking a little bit to
Yeah.
share, but I also love doing it. So it's,
I think
I'm challenging myself.
I think we can all relate to that as designers, and whenever we're making our initial explorations, like they're not always perfect, and so it's like showing off like not everything is ready for Behance and Dribbble. It takes a while for things to get to that level, so it's great to show the vulnerability of your design early on, right?
Yeah, totally. Definitely my first stuff is never that good, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it's okay because it's part of the evolution of your design, and that's why we iterate, right?
Yeah, and that's why we show it off.
Yeah.
We ask for help from other people. I had asked a couple friends last night to look at my stuff and give me their feedback. So,
Great.
Get that feedback. So I'm now going to show this user interview. On the right here, you're gonna see Ashley. She's gonna be talking through it and on the left, you're gonna see the screen that she's looking at, which is the mid-fi wireframe. You know what though? Actually, I'm just gonna show the mid-fi wireframe before we get into
idea.
this, because maybe if you haven't seen it yet, you're like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
There's a lot of new subscribers that that are tuning in today that haven't seen exactly what you did yesterday. So context is good. So this would be a great refresher for me as well, just to see what we were able to accomplish yesterday.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so this is the screen I designed. Just kidding. This is what their site currently looks like. If you hadn't seen it, this is where we came up with. No, so this is what the original screen looks like that we are redesigning. It's the child care assistance screen. And in here, you'll see that there's just a lot of copy. There's like a piggy bank in here on the side. It's really confusing of where to go on the screen, where to go next to actually apply for child care. This is the form that they had online, very long, very lengthy, and a little bit of an eyesore, to be honest. And so we did that user interview yesterday, and I just summarized it right here. What she said was, 1, there was too much text. 2, there was no images of kids. She's like, there's just a piggy bank. It's not about money necessarily. It's helping my child, so I want to see pictures of children. It didn't feel like a legitimate website. She didn't trust it. There was too many colors. She wants the eligibility, the FAQ, and the form all on one page. She didn't want to have to go through all these different pages in order to just apply. So everything on one page. So what we did after that was we did a user flow. So we're like, okay, instead we're going to go from the home page to the apply for assistance page, which we were just on. And from that page, she's going to be able to answer these eligibility questions right there and then. 3 simple questions. And if she's eligible, then we're gonna bring her into the application form. So we're trying to reduce time wasted on her. So we don't want her to fill out a long form and at the end, like, sorry, you don't qualify, like, that doesn't feel good.
Never a good experience.
No. So we sketched out what those screens were gonna look like together, or actually, no, I already did it, and then I showed you what my sketches looked like. And then yesterday we went through these mid-fi wireframes, and I'm just gonna play you the prototype really quick. So mid-fi, if you don't know what it is, or I have maybe a different definition than you do, is I make sure that there's enough imagery and enough copy on here so that when I do a user test, they understand what's going on. So they're not just looking at a bunch of gray boxes and being like, imagine, you're looking at a picture of a mom and child. It's really hard for users to imagine when they're being tested too, right? So we want to make sure that we can make it as easy as possible for them during the testing so that we can get even more accurate results. We're all about those accurate results. Okay,
Yes.
So in here you have the header, we have the eligibility, the beginning of that form right here, that first question. We have services, we broke it down in bullet point form. I even have like this little tooltip here that if you click on it, you can get a definition of what CalWORKS is if you don't know what it is. Not a lot of people do. Right. You can see the care providers, so who would potentially be watching your child here. That's gonna be very important. It humanizes the experience. Testimonials, and then frequently asked questions down below here. Right. And then the social media carousel. We added that because we wanted the community to seem like we wanted them to seem like they're active in their community. Right. So that's why we added that. So just to walk you through really quick, you go into the dropdown, you're like, what's your reason for needing care? I'm employed. Okay. Have you received cash aid? What's your monthly income? And then at this point, now you're gonna know whether or not you're eligible. So if you're eligible, right, now you can complete the application, and now you're going to the application form. And from here, you're going to fill out just a few fields here, 3 mandatory fields, that's it. Your relationship to the child, your preferred language, you can add your child here, and then you have your final review. And then it says, okay, great, now you're placed on the eligibility list. So really simplified, really, I would say it's a simplified flow compared to where they were at with these screens previously.
And you're able to do that really fast with the XD's prototype tool and also get that feedback really quickly. And that's like the whole key of it is the mid-fidelity wireframes allow you to get feedback on flows, information, and to be able to wire up a really simple digestible content and being able to like send it to somebody and get it back, right?
Totally, yeah. Yesterday we did all these wireframes in like maybe an hour and 15 minutes, actually less, probably about an hour, prototyped it, and then last night I tested it, and so all in all, like an hour and 30 minutes to start getting feedback and then feel like you are actually ready to go into high fidelity. Right. And what I suggest to do for user tests, people always ask, how many should I do? The rule of thumb is about 5 to 7. That's when you're gonna start seeing themes come up for you, and that's what you're going to start applying to the high fidelity. Now, of course, we don't have time from yesterday today to do 5 to 7 interviews, so I just have the 1. But I think that she gave some good feedback, and that's what we're going to watch right now. All right, y'all ready for this? User test. Go ahead and just scroll down and tell me your thoughts, what you're looking at, what you pay attention to.
All right, well, first, I can clearly see that you're going to help pay for part or all of child care expenses. That's good. Select option. Perfect. get a decisioned, informed answer. So let's just say that's it. Looks like you're eligible. Wonderful. That's what I wanted. Okay, so there's my child's information. Nice. I can final review everything in a nice, clean form layout. Alternative payment program. So that's nice. This actually might even make me feel a little bit more motivated to go do something extra. Like, oh wow, they offer help for me to go to school. Maybe I should look into that instead of just looking into care, you know? That can actually motivate me to be a better person, which makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Oh, nice. They're all professional quality photos, so I like that too, because it looks reputable, it looks legitimate. Testimonials, that's always good to see.
On a scale of 1 through 10, how would you rate this experience for the ease?
Super easy. Super simple and super clean. I would give it a 10.
List 3 things that could be improved upon.
So this is going to seem kind of silly and petty, but when I fill out forms like this, I always kind of like when it says, congratulations, and then my name. I feel like it makes it feel a little bit more personal, less robotic. Maybe a way to access my information or like a confirmation number, so it feels just a little bit more official.
What is the most memorable part of this experience for you?
I think it was getting the decision right away. That's the most memorable because I can walk out of this room right now and know that I've qualified for something. I'm making a difference in my family's life somehow, some way, or I'm at least putting out the effort to see what I can do and feel better about that. Hi, thank you.
Hi.
All right. That was the interview with Ashley. And what I didn't show here was that I did do a test with her with the previous screen, and I asked her on a scale of 1 through 10, how would you rate the ease of using this site? And she rated the current site as it is a 3. And then I asked, how would she rate this site? And she said a 10. So as far as ease of use, there's quite a huge difference, and we haven't even got to high fidelity yet.
Right.
So that's really exciting, and I'm actually going to do another test with her after today, and I'm going to post it on my YouTube. So if you're interested in seeing the final transformation, you'll see that on my YouTube.
Yeah, and for those of you that are just joining us and not sure exactly what you're saying, so Elizé is walking us through redesigning an experience for a charitable cause and something that's a little bit more fulfilling than just designing like a calendar app or something like that. And one of the questions that was asked is what kind of tools do you use for your user testing and being able to have that conversation?
Yeah, it depends on the type of test I'm doing, but if I'm doing like guerrilla style, meaning like just wham bam, get something really quick, I'm using probably Google Hangouts, and that's what I used last night. I used Google Hangouts, and then I used QuickTime to screen record with my audio and the screen record my screen. And then I use obviously the prototype link. So what I did was I created a review link from the, let me show you really quick.
Yeah, using the share for review is a very, really great tool to use.
Yes, super easy. So I went to share for review. Anyone with the link can view. I have it on that. And then I create the link and I just put it into my Google Hangouts, and she opened it up from there and was able to click around into the prototype and go through that flow. So really easy, really simple.
Yeah, and you use the tools that like you need for that moment. So like a free tool is like using Google Hangouts. Like there's nothing wrong with doing that. And then being like just using the screen record from QuickTime is a really, really just rough and dirty way to do it.
Yeah.
And then like especially if you're doing these back and forth exchanges, it's a good way for you to like get all of your thoughts down on paper. But like if you're live, there's other ways to do it too, right? So like the things that I've used are like usertesting.com is great to like have some recording tools that you can use. There's something called Lookback. Lookback is another tool that like has some like other ways to like have the interface be tappable, and you can record what the tap areas are on like mobile testing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff. So just wanted to we're gonna step out for 1 second and we'll be right back and explore some more with Elizé. So give us 1 sec. Oh wait. No, okay, that was a note for the other person. Sorry, we are
back.
Here. We're back.
But hold on, we're stepping away, and we're back.
But we do have a chat and win countdown in 9 minutes. So in 9 minutes, we're gonna be we're going to be looking at whoever's on the chat room and being able to give stickers and other ways for you to learn more stuff. So just stay in that chat, so that way we can give you some free stuff.
Yeah.
But so Look Back is something that I like to use because it records your demos. And how do you like transcribe your interviews when you do like user testing?
So I don't actually do any sort of like official transcribing. What I'll do is usually I have 2 people every time I'm doing a test. If you have 2 people, what I'll do is one person is performing the test and then another person is taking notes, and you're actually like evaluating, facial expressions and so forth. This is when we're starting to get a little fancy. If you don't have that, what I like to do is, if the person will allow you to, I like to record their face, just like we did right now. This is free, right? I recorded her face and I recorded her going through it. And then what I'll do is I'll re-watch the video, and I usually put it all in an Excel document or Google Sheets, where I have each question and I put the answers for every person. And after every test, I always do my main takeaways. I do 3 main takeaways from that test.
Right.
So that's kind of how I do it. And again, I'm going to actually have a whole video on user testing on my YouTube in the next 2 weeks, so you can take a look at that as well.
Yeah, and later when we hop over to my screen, I'll show you a list of like literature that I've found to be really useful. I've actually posted it on our Discord channel, and I'll bring that up later so you guys can have, and some links to get these books yourself and learn. So that's also another thing you can also do, is just like get literature and do some other type of learning using some great books. So we'll go over there later on when I get to my screen, and we'll show some links for that kind of stuff.
Great. So, all right, let's get into high fidelity. If you're just coming in, we did a user testing from our mid-fi wireframes last night. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and talk about the high fidelity screens. So this is where the site is currently at. If you hadn't seen it, this is the home page. You see the amount of colors that are being used and so forth. And so what I wanted to do was strip away all those colors, because from our user test, we found that it was a little too overwhelming. When someone is emotional, they just want to find like someone to help them. This is overwhelming to see this many colors, right? So it's like, where do I go? So one of the first things I did was I changed the logo. This is the logo. There's no line spacing. It's all caps. It's very hard to read, especially if you're looking at a small screen. So this is what I changed it to. By no means am I a logo designer, just FYI. But what I did do was I'm using Avenir for the font. And so I took Avenir, and I'll just kind of walk you through like a little bit of how I did. I'm not gonna go full on, but I did Avenir CHS like this. And then I made it into black. And from there, why did it go back? Black. And then from there, I made it into a outline. So I just went to convert to path. And so now you'll see that you can manipulate the way this looks. And so like I went and made it into a grid, and then I like took each corner here, and what I wanted to do is just like play around and make these a little bit more round versus just straight. And so that's how I created this logo for them now. And the reason why I chose these colors or this gradient was because I was thinking about, number one, this is in California, and there's a few locations near the beach. So I was like, okay, calm water, the ocean, relaxation. Like I wanna make sure this person feels relaxed. And so I was thinking about this the ocean and how beautiful, like look at, I just look at that, I'm like, ah.
Yeah, well, you're from LA.
Well, this is like Bahamas water, right? Like this isn't LA water, I'll tell you that much. No, this is not Santa Monica, Venice water.
Also, like blue is a really great color to use for like anything that's forward facing to a general public, because it's the most accessible color.
Yes, it's accessible, it's the most trusted color, and if you notice and you look at a bunch of applications and websites, you're gonna see like 60-70% use blue.
Yeah.
It's really quite interesting.
So if you use like a Stark plugin or any plugins that check for color blindness, you'll see that blue is the one that always is going to stand out.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of, can I find this right now? Oh, accessible. Okay, so something that I use, and oh, what happened here? Something that I use is this site, Accessible Colors. If you want to know if your color is accessible, meaning most people can see the color, you just plug it into here. And another tool I use is called What Font right here. So what I would do is I would go on the site, I'd click into here with What Font, and I could see like all the information, the fonts, the sizes, the colors. It's really great. I use this very often, especially when I'm trying to steal like a really nice font.
Sure.
I'm like, what's that font?
Yeah, there's a Chrome extension for that you can go search for. I have a similar font that I use, but that actually looks a lot better because it gives color. So I will be switching over to that.
Okay, it's What Font?
Go to this website. It's called getstark.com.
Oh.
So this is there's also a plugin for XD. And it's really great to, it has automated ways of analyzing your own document before you publish, which is a really great way to check for color contrast and the color values you're using, and it has a colorblind simulation. And so highly recommend getting a plugin that can give you some more guidance on how to check for your colors that you're using. So we'll definitely,
that's awesome.
Definitely check that out. It's really, really great. And so just to remind you, in about 3 minutes, we're going to have the chat and win. So you can make sure you're logged in. If you're viewing and haven't logged in, go ahead and do that. So that way you can just fire away and win some cool stuff. And thank you, Voodoo Val, for posting the link to Get Stark. It's a really great link to have. And so, definitely use as many tools as you can. But
basically, the end of the moral of the story is think about accessibility. This is starting to become important. And if anything, just start thinking about colors and sizing of fonts, at least initially. That's the first way to start. And so what I do on this site is I just plug in the color code that I found on here, and then the background color, which is white. And it says that it fails. So the contrast ratio is 4.5 that they suggest, and that was at a 2.2. So it's basically half the size. If you can see here, it is very hard to read this font. So that's something to consider when you are designing.
Right.
As you can see, I'll show you later on what my colors are as well, so you can take a look at the difference. Where are we at with the chat win? Should I continue? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
How do you get what font? You just go into your Google, you search what font, and it's a Google Chrome extension. Yeah. So just search literally what font, and then go into the Chrome extension and add it. Yeah, and I'm sure someone will be kind enough to add it to the chat. If not, we can add it to the Discord channel afterwards. So, this is sort of the sites that I was looking at when I was looking for some inspiration. I was looking at Uber, Hi Oscar, and Airbnb, because as you can kind of just probably tell from looking at these are 4 different sites, but there's a feeling that's very similar. It's very clean. There's a nice, strong call to action blue on top of it with the white space. Yep. It's very easy to read, easy to understand what your next step is, and that's kind of what I was going for with my design. So you can see here with Uber, there's a nice large hero. There's the form right here at the front, at the top of the page, and so forth. I really love Hi Oscar. I used to have Hi Oscar insurance just because their UI is so good and because it's so easy to use. They are really great design. Shows the power of design. I don't even know if their insurances are good. It's not bad, I've heard. Yeah? I just switched over because I've got on my fiance's insurance, but that works. But I had it. Okay, I'm going to, we got some 15 seconds here. I'm going to just, we got a few seconds until you can make sure you're logged in to the Behance. That way, the live chat, so that way you can get a chance to win some of these stickers. And so we got, it's here. So if you're not typing away, hammering on your keyboard, go ahead and do so now. Maybe mention your favorite Marvel character or something. I don't know, anything you want. Just get something in that chat so we can get a winner. And we're almost there. Can't wait. How do you use what font? So once you've downloaded it to your Chrome, it'll be in your toolbar there, and you just click into it, and you just hover, and you click into any font, and it'll tell you. Type love. Yeah, it's a really great font to use because, sometimes you can't get the actual font that is
it's telling you that the font is, and there's always like different fonts that are similar, because fonts can get expensive, right? That's why if you have the Creative Cloud, it's really great because you have full access to all the fonts in the library.
It's been really great for me, Or there's also obviously a lot of fonts with Google as well.
Google
that
fonts,
are free fonts.
Yeah, the Adobe's fonts is also like, the really cool thing about Adobe fonts too is if you are using Adobe fonts and you send me a file that I don't have that font, it'll automatically install that font for me to use, which is a really cool feature of XD, and being in the Creative Cloud family, to be able to like just kind of grab those fonts, because everyone hates seeing that little warning that says missing fonts.
I know, I really hate it.
And then because then you try to get that same font and it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, totally.
So it makes it a lot easier to like transfer the fonts.
Yeah.
So we're almost at a point. We're gonna Adobe Man is the new Marvel character. What is his ability? I've been seeing a lot of
what?
Marvel Man. Someone said Marvel characters, Marvel Man, Adobe Man.
Oh, Adobe Man.
Or Adobe person, right? Let's maybe.
Yeah, why does it always have to be a man? What about Adobe Woman?
Adobe
How about
Woman.
that? Dun, 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 dun. Hey.
the Thanos, right? That was all the rings.
So is it chat and win now?
It is. We're gonna see who wins in any second now.
Everybody wins.
We're waiting for.
You get a sticker.
Yeah, and so if you aren't a winner of our chat and win, which is gonna be announced any second, you can always go to Sticker Mule /Adobe Live 19, and then you can grab a bunch of stickers at a discounted rate. It's a sticker. It was 10 stickers for $1, so 100 stickers for $10. We can do math here. It's non-committal dance parties is also what we do during the sticker
chat and win.
The sticker chat and win.
Chat and win.
This is a sticker dance.
Chat and win.
Janos
and get your
did nothing
stickers
wrong.
on.
Yeah, but
I'm getting
you
hot
know,
now.
it's hard dancing.
Yeah, it's hard dancing. I was like, I'm gonna take this blazer off in a minute.
But any second we're gonna get a winner, so we're just waiting for you to continue chatting.
Come on
if you
we got a winner!
Chat,
It's
Eldar Samadar.
You are the sticker winner.
So you get 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. Thank you for chatting and winning. You are winning.
Winner.
Yeah. So that is the link for you to go check out stickers if you didn't win. Most of you didn't, unfortunately, but that's okay. You still contributed to the channel. And go to that website, stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19, and you can also then get a bunch of cool stickers at a really good rate. 3x3 die-cast stickers, they're great. And we're back on Elisé's screen.
And we're back. We're talking about some high fidelity designs. If
Yeah.
you're just coming in, we did a user testing on yesterday's mid-fi wireframes.
Right.
I just walked through a little bit of the logo redesign that I did. And the reason why I'm choosing this color is because I was thinking about this beautiful Jamaican ocean that I wish I was in right now. And so moving forward, these are some of the inspiration that I was looking at: Uber, Airbnb, and Oscar.
Yeah, and so when you're looking at like the design inspiration, you're not necessarily looking at like the same type of company. You're not looking at like other children's or other organizations that are similar.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's for like the way they have information shared. But when you're looking for like an aesthetic change, you're looking at like what brands are out there that are doing something that like are in this lane that I want to like live in, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about how like nonprofits don't have resources to help them with design, really, right? So I'm definitely not going to look at other nonprofits for inspiration, because I'll probably like that'll be like the road to nowhere.
So you can't do like the typical competitive analysis in the same way.
Well, not really. So I do a competitive analysis when I'm looking at content or layout, but when I'm looking at UI at this point, I'm thinking about thinking about companies that are just doing design well, and what can I look at? So I look at other companies, I look at Dribbble. Sometimes I find like Dribbble is so aspirational and there's so many illustrations, and if I'm going that route, that's great. But if I don't have time to like do illustrations, I don't know how to do illustrations. I sometimes just want to find like sites that are tried and true, have nice UI and work really well. So that's kind of what I look at. Alrighty, so this is the color palette I was playing with yesterday. So here's that gradient I used in the logo. And then I just pulled the 2 colors that I'm creating the gradient with. Right. And then, I don't know if it's probably hard for you to tell on the screen because they look the same on the screen, but slightly this is like a light white and this is like a very, very light blue. And then I have a dark blue that I'm gonna be using for the fonts here. And so these are some heading styles I created and just a couple buttons I created just to get myself ready. And then this is the navigation. So as you can tell here, like this font color on top of white is really easy to read compared to what we just saw with the navigation on the current site. That's really difficult to read actually. So
yeah, it's all caps too, so that there's another
those all caps drive me crazy. Yeah, no reason. I feel like they're shouting at me, right?
Oh, we're getting a little preview.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, so so how I created this, or how I started this little board is I can't just start like putting colors on like some other people might be able to. I need to start actually applying it to a screen for me to really understand what colors and typefaces I want to use.
It's too abstract to me.
Yeah, totally. Like people are like, build a component library, and I'm like, I can't build it until I
until you start
designing. I don't even know what components to build.
I completely agree with that.
So this was my first stab at it. I was like, maybe this is where we're gonna go here. Because I was looking at that Uber example, right? With that like form right in the hero, and I kind of liked that it was right there. So I was thinking about that here, and I liked this picture with the son looking at this woman, the caretaker. It has like a nice, they have a nice smile, but it's not too cheesy. It actually feels very genuine. Yeah. And then you can really see the child care assistants on the left-hand side. So I was thinking about that, but I was like, you know what? It feels very medical-like or something. Like, I don't know. Does he want like his teeth checked or something? I'm not sure. So I moved on from that. And then I was like, I'm gonna go completely opposite of what I was doing with like that like relaxing blue. I was like, I'm gonna go crazy, because that actually helps me. We talked about it yesterday. Right. If I like think about the complete opposite of what I was doing, it helps kind of like me to get the creative juices flowing. So this is what I did after that. I was like, okay, let's do like a dark, like indigo with a bright yellow and like feel very vibrant and energetic. So that's what I was thinking about here. Then I moved on and I was like, no, let's take it back. Let's bring it back now.
And what font size are you using on your header? There's a question asked in the chat.
This is a 73. Okay. This is a 64. And this one was, about the same. So 64. That one was much larger.
And great question, because like your heading classes and as you're styling your text, it's good to at least set a standard.
What I'll do is I take my body font, which I usually do between like 15 to 18 depending on the font, and then I'll times that by 1.6 to get the next like character style up, so that it's like the golden rule ratio, like times by 1.6, and I just continue to do that, and that's how I figure out what my heading sizes are.
Using
and then
the
I'll adjust.
Golden ratio.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
if you apply that to everything, it works.
If you apply it to everything in life, you'll be good.
True.
Just kidding. So the fonts, so for the font, I decided to use Avenir. And like I said, that's the same one I'm using for the manipulated logo that I did.
Right.
And I decided to go with this one here, and I don't think you can really see it that well on screen. I'm not sure. I have like a very, very light blue background back here. Mm-hmm. And I have this circle pulling in because I liked that I liked it instead of being in a square or taking on the full hero, it was like in a bubble. It was kind of like bubbling in, like hello. And it felt very friendly to me. And I pulled in the gradient in the background with another blue, that gradient.
And the call to
circle
action
in the background.
has a little gradient.
Yes, the call to action has a gradient. And then I have the child care assistance header here. And then the next thing I want them to do is find out if they're eligible down below. And so when you think about like how someone looks on a page, they usually look from left to right. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I wanted them to look at it. Like first see the image, feel like, oh, this feels very friendly. Then see that this is for child care assistance. Great. We help pay for your expenses. Wonderful. And then look down below, find out if you're eligible. So it's kind of like this Z shape, right?
Right.
That's kind of like how eye tracking works. So from there, I have this form, and I have a little bit of like a shadow on here. I've been playing around with using shadows that are colors instead of just black and gray. I'm using like a very light blue shadow on here. I don't know if it's hard or easy for you to tell. And then I have the question and then the field, and I decided to make the fields on the landing page much, much larger than I am gonna have in the application form, just so that it's like, I don't know about you guys, but I love big buttons. Like if there's like a nice like 2 or 3 big buttons for me to press, I just want to click it or like punch it really bad. Like I just want to like get in there.
Well, especially for organizations like this, like you do want that to be a bigger target.
Yes, totally.
You're dealing with, this isn't like a product that is like supposed to be like, you know, like those trendy small buttons and like kind of like, you know, this is an experience built for a lot of use and for practical use.
Yes, and when I talked to Ashley, she was like, her context of use, her scenario when she's using it, she's like has a couple minutes break during work. She's like breastfeeding and stuff. She's like, I'm just clicking through, just trying to get through this as quick as possible. And so I want to make things as easy as possible for this person. So that's what I'm thinking about.
And you got some real love on the circles that you're using there. So it's testing well. And it kind of looks like it's like a lens into this world, right? It's like kind of like a good way to like, especially with the gradient circle that you put behind it, it's kind of like you're looking into this environment that you could possibly be in.
Yeah, I like that view. Hey, that's what I meant to do all along. But if you guys have a one that you like better, like if that's the one I'm gonna select for the rest of the day, but if you guys were like, oh yeah, I love that vibrant yellow one, or I like that first one, like, you know, let me know, you know, do some polling here.
I do love the imagery of the one in the middle. Like, like the simple, like kind of like family that's cut out, like it's really great. And where do you like go for your images that you?
So these I all pulled from Adobe stock.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and the thing you have to do when you're searching for stock images is try to find pictures that don't feel like stock images, like the least stocky as possible. So they have some really great options on there. They do. You just have to sift through and like you find some really authentic looking pictures like these.
And sometimes you also just want to select something and move forward because you can pine over the perfect photo and it might not ever find you, or it could take too long.
Yeah.
So if you're taking too long to find photos for your experiences that you're designing, maybe like just choose something for the time being and know that you can replace it later. It doesn't have to be the driver for what your experience is gonna bring out, right? Like, don't get caught up too much on those little details.
Yeah, you could always change the images later. Like these are ones that I found last night, and I very may change them tomorrow or the next day. You know,
totally.
But this is where we're starting off. All right, so then what I do is like, you saw that I have a bunch of wireframes up here. I just copied and pasted them all down here. And this is how I'm gonna start working, is like I have like the beginnings of like my UI direction, and then I'm just gonna move forward from here. All right, so obviously it's gonna be a very long page, so I'm just gonna make that artboard longer. And then I'm gonna bring in, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring these guys in this page. And I've already started to make character styles. So this is my H1, this is my H2, and this is also gonna be my H2. Right. So I actually am going to have to edit all of my headings, my character styles in here. Because I already made character styles for my wireframes. So now all I gotta do is click like edit, let's see. This is an Avenir 64 heavy, so now I'm just gonna like edit this one. Oh, I have to edit in the source document. You know what? I'm just gonna make these new character styles.
Right. And then there was a question on how you were able to show the drop-down fields on your site. So how did you like prototype that?
Oh, I can show you quickly, like I just have this field here, and then I just created exact same screen, and then I have a drop down here. And actually what we're gonna be doing today is do Auto-Animate so that it has like, it'll like have a much nicer flow, and like the arrow will move and stuff, so it actually feels like a real form that you're filling out. So I'll show you how I'm gonna be doing that too. All right, so this is my H2, this is gonna be my H3. I'm gonna just label this H3.
And thank you, Santaji, for giving us the like exact math on the golden ratio, 1.618. Apparently there is
Yeah.
an exact if you have OCD, he says.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that because how I do it is this. Like I'll take this guy and you can do the math already in here. You just do times 1.6 in here and then you got it. And then this is also gonna be 38.4, so I'm gonna round from there. So it's
Right.
not gonna be perfect,
Right.
but it's gonna be close. And that's all that matters. Nothing in
So-
life is perfect.
Did everyone see that you can actually do math inside of XD?
I do a lot of math in XD because I can't do math myself. So
Yeah, calculators. Like,
yeah, it helps me out.
I mean, Command Spacebar like on the Mac is like my favorite shortcut for math, and I stick to it every day.
Yeah, it's quite handy.
Yes.
So, yesterday we had made a bunch of these repeat grids here. And so then when I'm adjusting one thing, it's reflecting onto the rest of the things in the repeat grid.
Right.
So that's very handy dandy. For this picture, I don't like the way it's like in this, first of all, I hate borders. Like when I start getting into UI, I'm like getting real like, oh, I hate that gray border. But when I'm doing wireframes and lo-fi wireframes, I let everything slide. But now I'm like, that's awful.
Yeah.
And I kind of was thinking like I wanted to like extend this to like the side of the page here. And pull in some of this, like just have this a little further away. It feels a little bit better. I'm actually gonna make this, no. I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna make that like that, okay. And then I'm gonna start, I use the 8-point grid and I'll start, like this is where I start kind of doing a little bit of math. I'll be like, okay, everything's gonna be on the 8-point grid. And so I'm gonna do rough estimates at this point. I don't start going into every single nitty gritty detail until I'm like at the very end stages.
Right.
Because then I start moving things around and I can't be like counting and doing all that math at this point. Because then I will never get the design done.
Right. Trying to fix all those things as you're designing, sometimes it can be a lot of work, and sometimes just like work that's gonna get undone later anyways. So yeah, I agree. I do the same thing.
You do? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like, sometimes I watch people do it and I'm like, how do they like do all that counting the entire time and get that design done quick enough? I'm like, I need to get faster then. All right, so this. So again, I'm getting rid of that border. I'm pulling it to the side here. I kind of like the way it just stretches out. I might even move it and stretch it even more. Is it halfway? I kind of want it to be more about the pictures is why I'm like stretching out that image more, because Ashley said she wanted to see more images of children and less stuff of that, like less piggy bank stuff, like icons that she was seeing.
Those piggy banks were kind of disconnected from the actual purpose of the site. It's not to take, it's not to take money from you. It's a different experience. So highlighting these pictures are really, really great, because it's gonna make the site a lot more vibrant and trust it more, because you're actually seeing in context like how this place can actually provide childcare.
Yeah, totally. Okay, and I'm playing around here because this might not meet some accessibility here. I'm not sure. This is a little maybe too light. What do you guys think? I don't know. Is this too light for you to read? Do you feel good about it? Should I change the font weight? I'm also going to be moving out this like, what's this? That's what I had temporarily. And I'm gonna just put like a question mark instead. And that's usually a fine indicator for a tooltip. And it just looks better than like, what's this? So there's that guy. So then this is about 80. So I'm just gonna pull this in tighter here. What size is this?
It's looking good already.
It's looking more friendlier, right? Than where it was at with that wireframe though.
Yeah, well, like, there are ways to, I love the idea of a mid-fidelity wireframe just to like nail down the content and make sure that the information that you have is exactly what you need. And sometimes when you're trying to design in high fidelity right out the gates, like it gets really messy. So I don't ever really advise doing that either. So like approaching it with a mid-fidelity is just a really great way to get all your content nailed down.
So don't lie. Are you gonna start like doing a lot more mid-fi's here?
I actually I do most of my design in mid-fi's.
Oh, you do already?
Yeah, because it's like I usually go the same route as you did, where you go from sketching, and then when you're able to have all your sketches done, like that's pretty much like the bulk of like the content you want to get down anyways, and then you move into the mid-fi's and then a high fidelity. I work very similar in that regard. It also depends on the project that you're working on too. If it is something that's a little bit more collaborative with other designers, sometimes you do you have to go into like some lo-fi if depending on the roles that you're designing in. So, but generally, I do also agree that the mid-fi's are a really great way to approach design.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, has anyone else used mid-fi's before, or find any benefit to using mid-fi's? Like, have you guys used it before?
Yeah, and that's like really great to like understand how you design in your process. Like, is drawing something you skip? Because sometimes people skip drawing and go straight to lo-fi prototype designs. And they maybe use like a UI kit that is designed to have low fidelity wireframes, and that's great too. Being able to use whatever it is to get the ideas out of your mind the fastest is like the idea, and we all think differently. So different tools for different ways. And so Eric is so he's never able to get hi-fi because he sucks at design. I don't, maybe not that far, but go with the mid-fi. That's the way you get better though, right? Is by creating this mid-fi's, and you will get there. So mid-fi, the question is, what is a mid-fi? So it's in the middle of basically creating a low fidelity, which is hand sketched, or a lot of placeholder, and then a high fidelity polished design. So you want to, sometimes getting right in that middle is a great way to communicate the information of the content. And especially if you're presenting it to someone that's a shareholder, is just a really, really great way to get that messaging back. So just great question though.
Yeah, and what I have to say about it is you don't have to be a great visual designer. I wasn't a very great visual designer when I first started, and I was just doing UX. And actually, I know a lot of UX designers that are not good at visual design at all. They do just what I did yesterday, mid-fi, and they hand it off to a UI designer.
Right.
That is 100% okay. But what I do have to say about that is, if you're going to be doing that, then you got to get really good at UX. You got to really get good at interaction design, and you have to flex those muscles, get good at either research or figure out what your specialty is. You shouldn't have to be the jack of all trades. Figure out what my specialty is. Actually more so strategy than UI design. I'm fine at it, but I wouldn't say like I'm the best UI designer. So
yeah, and that's something that also it's a specialty in itself. Like a UI designer does do a little bit more of like the visual approach, but the UX side is a whole another thought process that isn't just like understanding the golden ratio and understanding like color usage. It's there's two different aspects, but they can collide, and that's when you're able to accomplish both. Like that's the great part about it. I did want to remind that we have the design feedback happening in 36 minutes to be exact, and we're going to look at the creative challenges that were from the day before. So if we wouldn't mind hopping over to my computer, I'm going to show you a little bit more about some of the challenges that are upcoming. So definitely like log into Behance if you're on the chat. You can see on the right-hand side there's tabs for you to check out the creative challenge. So you have to be in the community to be able to take part. And so today's challenge was voice triggers. And so to be able to incorporate that into a language learning app. So if you're interested in challenging yourself in a new way using the voice prototype, it's a really great feature to experiment with new accessibility and other ways to engage people. Like smart homes are popping up everywhere, so you have IoT experiences. Voice triggers are a great way for you to like kind of just test out what you think is the logical flow of understanding how to interact with voice. So Andrea Hawk put together a really good demo yesterday as well for the responsive resize for scheduling an assistant, and so a scheduling assistant, and we will go over that as if you submitted designs, and that is in our Discord channel. So hop on over to Discord to see the creative challenge and the voice triggers and some of the specifics, and we'll be looking at those later. I did mention that I had posted up some like just quick UX literature, And this is for me something that, like, these are books that I've read or have at least skimmed through. I mean, there's a lot of reading out there, and sometimes you're looking for a certain thing and you can find it pretty quickly. But this is just a quick list that I put together for you, so you can take advantage of, and that is also on our Discord. And I put this in the which chat did it? Design a feature. I put it in Design Other. So check out the Discord if you want to get a list, and I actually included links for you to go take a look at those as well. So one of the favorite ones from there is How to Make a Sense of Any Mess, was something that I remembered yesterday. It's a great book to understand how to use information architecture to really pick apart an experience that is like very, very wordy and a lot of tricky categories and how to categorize things. So that's something that I wanted to call out. And then another book that kind of sparked my mind was Julia asked a question of, like, how do you do user research? So there's this one is really helpful by Russ Unger. It's a project guide to UX design, and definitely get that if you are interested in doing UX research and want to be able to conduct a UX research interview, and how to synthesize and how to do it solo or with a team. So there's a bunch of strategies in there to learn how to do some more of that UX stuff. So everybody that was able to view the Behance the challenge, or took part in the challenge, can't wait to see what you've created. So you have 30 minutes to submit to our Discord channel to get your designs reviewed and to get feedback. So that way you can grow as a designer and learn a little bit more about how to take feedback, because that's really a hard part. It's
hard.
Giving feedback sometimes can be pretty hard too, but I think easier than taking feedback.
Definitely.
And thank you for being open and creating and submitting, because a lot of times you might create something and not share it. And this is a great opportunity to actually get your work out there and remove that vulnerability, because a lot of times just showing your work is just a great way for you to kind of get out of your comfort zone and just kind of show off your stuff. And it's okay. This is a safe space for you to get feedback on your design. So yeah, that's we can hop over to Elisé's screen to see how she's doing. And already every time we go back to her screen, she's always got like so much going on. So I really love how that has come together so quickly. Like, we weren't even there before, and we just had the mid fidelity next to it, and now we're like rocking and rolling.
Yeah, you're seeing kind of like the before and after here. So I have this little carousel with the potential caregivers or people that might be working with the parent's child, and we want to make it feel more real with the pictures and also like their names, the years of experience, and also this play button so that we can potentially see, like, oh, we could play a video of this person talking about who they are and stuff. And so this would be really nice if a parent saw this. It would make them feel like it's a little bit more real and would feel more safe about it. And then now what I'm creating is the testimonial section. I had it like this before, but I completely just didn't like that. It's just for me, again, just to have show content. And I can then, when I get into UI, I can be more playful with, like, how do I want to show the testimonials? And this kind of felt a little bit more realistic to me to also have headshots here as well. And actually what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna make this a little smaller. I'm going to make this a repeat grid. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm making a little carousel where the user has two ways of going about and switching to different testimonials. So they can use these arrows here, but then they can also just click onto the different pictures to see the testimonials. So I am going to just drag in these three images. And now they've been changed. Yeah, they were changed here. So this is a 60. So I'm gonna make a circle at 60. I'm going to make this blue, and I'm gonna give it like a border so that you know which one you're on. So like, oh, I clicked on, this person Carol. And then if you click onto the different faces, you'll then get the slider as well. So there's 2 ways of using this testimonial slider. Do I like this size? Do I want it smaller? I'm gonna leave it for now. Okay, and then, so now we have the FAQs. Oh, no, actually now we have another call to action here. So I'm making like just a rectangle and I'm gonna plop in an image. Let's see, what image am I going to use? So I pulled in this one. This is actually the one I was using in the hero yesterday, if you remember, but now I'm actually going to use it here instead. And I'm going to, because there's all this like space right here, it's like very white. I feel like I can put some text in there. So I am actually going to put some text like, find out if you are eligible. And then now this leaves room for another area for call to action, because when someone's coming up here, they might be like, okay, I'm not ready to like find out if I'm eligible. I'm just gonna continue scrolling. And at this point, maybe they are ready. They saw the testimonials and so forth. They're like, I'm ready to like see if I'm eligible. Well, we don't wanna have them go all the way back up to the top. They can maybe just click from here and go into that experience as well. So that's why I've got that guy. And then I'm gonna say like, what should I say here? If they're gonna go to find out the process, go to the process, complete the process, find out if you're eligible?
Yeah, check eligibility. Check eligibility works.
Sometimes I really need help with content.
Yeah, that's a UX writing is its own thing, and like all the micro copy is, you know, that stuff like you can solve later on, but it's good to kind of think about those things as you go as well.
Yeah, because if me as a UX designer, I'm designing this in a certain way, and the copywriter might not have enough context. So if you can give them enough context, even if the writing is bad, it'll let them understand a little bit better what you're trying to do with your designs.
Yeah, and if you don't have a copywriter, I would say sometimes just like send it to a friend or someone who can like is not inside your brain and working on the same thing as you are. Because sometimes it just takes someone that's outside of what you're working on to give feedback that is kind of non-objective of the design, but more just like looking at language. Because we probably all have friends that are better writers than us, and so you're able to like outsource some of that if you're kind of doing things by yourself. So resource the people around you, and sometimes like one of the things that like I always keep in mind is you know, you can get a lot of good design advice from non-designers, and so you know keep an open mind of like who you talk to and who you get advice from, because you'll never know when you get some really good advice from people that are non-designers, because from my experience that's really helpful.
Yeah, I agree, especially with copy. Like I asked my friends that are better with copy, I'm like, can you look at this? Like, I actually asked my friend yesterday to look and tell me what he thought about the copy that I had. And he was like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, see, outsourcing, it's really, really great to do, because you know, we do get so close to these designs that we kind of lose track of some of those simple things, like what to say in a text field. And it's really great to get that feedback.
All right, so now I am looking at these fields and I feel like either, I'm not sure if I want this, if I like it like this, or if I'm thinking also if I should just use that same sort of drop shadow I'm using in here. I'm gonna just copy and then I'm gonna paste it in here. Is that too hard to read maybe?
Maybe bump it up a little.
Woo, how about that? You like that? I'm gonna change the way.
And that's another really cool trick, the pasting your styles.
Yeah, so I just go into here and then you would just click like copy, like a regular copy, and then you go into here and then you could just do paste appearance, or you can use the shortcuts, which obviously I did.
Option, Command, Paste.
Option, Command,
V.
V, yes. Actually, what about these?
Yeah, and then there's another question about like, thank you, Ed, for asking a question. Like, so how do you pre-consider the stacking of image boxes and content when moving over to mobile? So the great part about this is that being able to use responsive resize when you're ready for mobile design, or iPad or mobile phones. And so considering how you would think about a mobile experience when you're designing a web experience is, like I feel like when you cross that bridge when you get there, and this is how I work. If I'm designing for web first, and then you can consider changing how you're gonna scale that for mobile later. But sometimes you design for mobile first, and you kind of tackle those issues before you get to the web experience. But typically for a site like this, it is probably gonna be accessed web first, which is why Elizé most likely decided to do it, right? On a web first versus mobile first?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I did it, but I have no idea. And until you start looking at the data, then you'll, in your analytics, you'll be able to tell like, okay, 60% of our users are coming in through desktop, so maybe we should design that way first. But typically, actually, when I'm designing like this, I will be designing my mobile in tandem. So when I'm wireframing, I'm going to have right next to me my mobile, and I don't have to do full-on design. I just flesh out a little bit of an idea of what it's going to look like. But this page is so simple, as you can tell, it's going to easily translate onto mobile so well.
It'll stack very easily.
It's just going to stack. It's going to be very, very easy for this to be translated. There's nothing too complex about this page. So I can, as I'm designing, even if I'm not doing mobile, I'm just thinking about how is this going to translate on mobile.
And then Richard asks, how many CTA buttons can you include into a design?
So you don't want to hit someone over the head too many times, right? Like, look at me, eligible. Especially if you're like trying to get someone to pay for a product, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's something called banner blindness, and I feel like this is the same thing for calls to action. Like if you start seeing that button too many times, you stop looking at it, you stop noticing it. It doesn't have the same impact. So I think that it depends on the length of your landing page, and it depends on your product, but I would say like at least having two, especially if you have a longer page, one at the top, one at the bottom, and the way you present them could be different too. Like I'm presenting these same call to action in two different ways in some way. Like you can click here or you can click here, but it looks a little different. And so maybe you're trying to reach to a user with a different sort of experience or different sort of copy, different ways to engage that user.
And then thinking about like how you're treating like a one page versus like a multi-page experience. And what was your decision on this experience that you're designing in terms of one page versus multi-page?
One page versus multi-page.
Like so like a continually scrollable page versus like a separated page experience.
So one of the reasons why we did that is because Ashley did say straight up, that's what it was like right now with the current experience, is that there's these 2 pages plus the form, so there's actually 3 pages for the experience. And she's like, I don't want to be clicking and trying to figure out where to go. I want it all on one page. So that was one of the reasons why I did that. I also feel like when you're on here, like, a lot of people are used to scrolling now. Before it kind of was like will people know that there's anything below the fold? And people do know that now. And a lot of people like scrolling. And again, the landing page length will depend on your product and also like your A/B testing. You might find that a shorter landing page works for you better, and some people find that a longer landing page works for their product better. So it's always like there's not like a hard and fast rule for that too.
Yeah, great questions. There's some really great questions in the chat.
Yes,
there's another one from
questions.
Yeah, Ed has a really great question here. Do you think the more well-versed you are in design, the higher fidelity start point is, and is it a force of habit? So like being able to step into a high fidelity, is it based on your skill level?
No. Because I know great, amazing UX designers, UX strategists, UX writers, they don't know a lick of UI design. They leave that to the people who are really good with visuals. And what they do is they hone in on their own craft. So I don't think that it's good to just be like a generalist. I think that's kind of good when you're starting out to figure out, what am I good at? Am I better at UI? Am I better at UX? Am I better at writing? Am I better at interactions? What am I good at? And you have to be a generalist to figure that out. And then once you figure that out, specialize in it, because nowadays you have to set yourself apart. And if you're like, oh, I'm a UX designer, I can do a little bit of everything, it's like, okay, cool, but once you start specializing, and actually this is a IDEO, I had a conversation with this designer at IDEO, it's like everything's T-shaped, meaning you kind of like know generally about all things, but you become an expert in one thing, and that's the designers that they're looking for, because then you bring a lot of value rather than a little bit of value for all the things.
Yeah, that's a really, really great way to look at it. And you know, as you grow as a designer, you're gonna realize like there's certain aspects of it that you like more than, or that not necessarily you like, but that just bring you more
Joy.
connection and
That
joy,
spark joy.
right? You need to spark joy, and so the way you want to approach your design career is just think about like what you picture yourself doing every day, and does that make you happy? Like, so my and just in context, my study was interaction design, and I decided that the most important thing for me is to like leverage like accessibility design.
Yeah.
And so I've, you know, made myself a little bit more of a specialist in that space and learned more about how to like think about experiences that are more inclusive for using you know, assistive technologies and different ways to approach accessibility. But it's also like through user research, because that's another thing that I really enjoy, is being able to do research and specializing in how research is conducted. So depending on what you like, you could be a visual designer that is more into the UI space, or you could do both and UX and UI. That is kind of basically an interaction designer as well. There's tons of careers to choose from. It gets really granular when you think about the field of design. And so, you know, don't pigeonhole yourself into like one thing or another. There's general principles, but then there's ways to specialize in those principles.
Yeah, the other thing I will say too is make sure your portfolio and your case studies represent what you're actually
That's
good
a good
at.
point.
Because sometimes I'll have UX designers show me their portfolio, and they'll say, I'm mostly a UX designer, I kind of dabble in UI. Well, I see that they put a lot of UI on their portfolio and it doesn't look great. So that's all I'm looking at is the UI. I'm not even paying attention to the UX because it's hard to look past the looks, right? Like it's hard to look past visuals. So make sure what you specialize in, what you think is really showing the best of you is on your portfolio, and you're not like muddying it with a different story of like, I'm doing all these other things. Until you've honed your craft, and if you really want to get good at visual design, you can do it, but I don't think you need to show it as your case study or in your portfolio until you feel very confident in those skills.
Yeah.
You've asked other people, what do you think about my design? What do you think about my design? Get as much feedback as you can, and when someone says, dang, you got some good looking visuals there, you're like, oh, okay, it's time to start, you know, putting it up. So that would be my feedback on that.
Yeah, and the key is like being able to communicate your ideas effectively, and you can do that without being like a super polished visual designer. Like and I think that is like the biggest difference between UI and UX is UX would typically, like you'd expect them to be able to tell whatever story it is that you want to tell with your experience through your experience, and make it something that is enjoyable and not frustrating. And so that's kind of like if you were to Google what's the difference between UI and UX, you probably will get a lot of blogs on Medium. But I think in simplicity, it's one is reliant on the other, and you need to have an experience that is thoughtful and logical and going to help people. And then the UI is going to be able to inform what the interaction looks like and how you approach it. And this is not just limited to digital environments, right? This is also borrowing from the ideas of industrial design. Industrial design is pretty much like where interaction started, and thinking about like a product can be physical and have a UX experience and a UI experience when you think about aesthetics. So don't limit it to just digital experience too. This carries over to physical world.
Totally.
Right? Like,
you just have to find we were talking about that yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
we actually love thinking about the physical world and not just a digital interface and what is the solution to that.
Yeah.
You can get into a field that has nothing to do with a digital interface. If you love just solving problems,
Right.
and there's all different types of design. This is just one way.
Yeah, and if anybody's just hopping in the channel and just joining us, we're with Elizé doing a case study analysis on a specific case in mind, thinking about how to redesign an experience for a charitable cause, and for a cause that's really near and dear to your heart. And so you're not creating hypothetical work, and you're actually practicing your skills in a real life environment. So Elizé is kind enough to show us all the whole breadth of a process in this one website that she's redesigning, which is just like really like a lot to jam pack in 2 days, but she is rocking and rolling, and as you could see, like from yesterday, just going off of the mid-fidelity wireframes to this experience now. And so, as a reminder, thank you, Voodoo Val. 15 more minutes until we have the design feedback. And so make sure if you are designing any experiences for that and you have some ideas that you want to get looked at, I already saw a few that are really cool and I can't wait to share. So if you have more, like please do, and we'll spend some time and look into those and give you some really cool and valuable feedback. That's the whole point, is giving constructive feedback, feedback that you can actually take action on if you want to.
So somebody asked me how I did a drop down, and this is not the way I did it on the wireframe because I did it quick and dirty, but this is how I'm going to do it on my high fidelity, which is I took this button here, or this drop down field, and what I did was I extended it all the way down here so that it can fit all the drop down menu items here. And why I'm doing that especially is because when we go into auto animation, I want this to like expand down. It's gonna be like, bloop. And then the other thing I wanna make sure that it's doing is that this little arrow here, I wanna make sure that that kind of like flips up, right? Because once you've dropped it down, then that little arrow is gonna turn, flip upside down.
Yeah.
And so it looks really cool when you do it in the interaction, when you start to do prototyping. So I want to do that. Let's see if we can make it happen here. Sometimes I feel like I need to it takes me a couple times to get the Auto-Animate just right.
Oh yeah, it's easy to correct, which is the great thing about XD is you can try it and then just tweak it a little bit and then just go right back to it. And so Ed, again, a great question. How far do you go with your mid-fidelity design? I think the mid-fidelity design is going to be really great to get just feedback on, and I think there is a point to like a certain skill level being able to create your mid-fidelity designs, because once you do it, when you do it more, the easier you are at like making text fields and understanding the principles around drop downs like Elizé has demonstrated. But if you were to do a side-by-side after Elizé's done with this experience versus the mid-fidelity, I really do think that you will see a big difference in the general, in the look of it, right? It's structurally very similar, but visually it's very, very different. Like,
yeah.
I noticed, like, I think it's that the spacing is more thoughtful. You're using more color. You're expressing a little bit more with much more with your imagery. But overall, the messaging and the content is staying the same.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it depends on like if you are working with a UI designer. Sometimes a UI designer will do exactly what you did. But what I like is when a UI designer will be creative and like free flow it and be like, yes, I want to make this larger. I want to change the way that these cards look. I don't even want to do it the way you did it. And so if you're not a UI designer, this is totally fine to do, and anybody can do this, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Anybody. You can even find, what are those called? Files online where you could just download.
Oh yeah, like UI kits?
UI kits. Mm-hmm. You can just get a UI kit, drag and drop like I did yesterday. I created my own UI kit, but you can find one online, and I can share mine too. My wireframe components. You just drag them in, and voila! Like you drag in the pictures. You saw how I did it yesterday. Like so easy. That this is really perfect. Mid-fi wireframes is like, if you don't want to get into visuals, this is perfect for a UX designer to be like, I want to get good at like having it be good enough for testing.
Yes.
Then this is great.
That's really great advice. And if you could share those, that would be great.
Yes, I can do it. So let's see if this is working or not for me. Oh, I didn't even
triggers.
I didn't even create the prototype. Yeah, oops. So that's gonna go there, and I want it to transition auto-animate. I'm gonna do, ease out, 0.3 sounds good to me. If it does work, I want it to kind of come back if I close it.
Yeah, and Alfredo, this is the same project from yesterday, just elevated. We have moved past the...
Oh, and the other thing I need to do.
Yes, I know what you're gonna say. So we're moving past the mid-fidelity and we're going into a more polished design. And now we're actually going into like some prototype ideas and how the interaction will work in the micro interactions.
Oh yeah. Just feels so good when it works.
Yes.
So if you can see, like this little arrow is gonna turn around, and then this whole field is gonna shrink down and go smaller.
Look at that.
So did you see the little arrow? Doop. Oh, but you know what's messed up is this services right here.
There's a little inconsistency, but that's easily fixable. Oh, I see.
Why is that guy moving up? He's in the way. See him coming up?
Yes.
I'm gonna move this guy down. Let's try it again.
There you go.
Yeah. So now it's collapsing. And so that screen's done. Moving on.
And so Alfredo says, wow, looks much cleaner than the original. Which is the point, right? Like the first mid fidelity was just for the content, to get that down. And then she tested the content and then was able to like basically take that feedback and implement it into her design. So it was just really, really great to get that that user interview that we demonstrated early on. So if you want to rewatch how Elisé's experiment went when she demonstrated her website and got feedback last night, it's at the beginning of the video, so you can check out how that went. And I mentioned earlier about some UX research books. I posted a link in the Discord, and there's a kind of like a dead link in the chat above somewhere for the Discord channel, so you can get a list of all the UX books that at least I think are very relevant to being a UX designer, and some tools for you to learn how to user research and some other ideas around the philosophy of design, because essentially it is a really big field and there's a lot of people that talk about it. So we think about earlier information architecture and how important that is, and there's just a lot of content to really dive in on that channel. So check out the Discord design other hashtag or channel, and there's a list there for you.
How much time do we got until?
We got 8 minutes until the design feedback countdown is over, so you got plenty of time. There was a plugin that I showed yesterday that got some people's attention, and if you don't mind if I
Sure.
show something off real quick, it's and just to kind of give you a sense of the channel that I'm talking about. So on Discord, here's a list of the books that I posted and shared. So feel free to take a look at those. And on the Google Doc that is attached are the links to go get those too for yourself. But I just wanted to demonstrate like a plugin that I discovered that I really love, and it's called let's see, Design Exporter, Extract Design. So if it's actually a two-step thing. It's a XD plugin, but it's also a Google extension. So this is going to allow you to extract a design. So if I hop on over to this page that Elizé is designing, I could pull assets from it. So this is the icon. I've already installed it. You can, as soon as you click it, you're able to then copy what's called a JSON. And JSON is basically like stripping out all of the contextual code of that file, and then the plugin is called Design Importer. And you just paste it in there, and then you're able to grab the assets any moment now. So this is also really important for plugins, is to give you feedback on what's going on in your doc. And so it went somewhere. Where did it go? It went over here. So let's do that again for you, because that was not. Yeah, so you could see. So it basically grabbed all the assets that we wanted to grab. It's not perfect by any means. It doesn't do everything you need, but it can get imagery that you wanted to take away from a website, and it's all like buried there, so you can see it. And then it also has live text, so you can actually grab text and copy from places that you might not be getting from the people that you need to get the copy from for you to complete your work. So again, that plugin is called Extract Design. So it is a Chrome extension, and it is a a plugin as well, so it's a combo. So let me get the link for you too. Extract Design. Extract Design. XD plugin. Yeah, I don't know where it is. It is available though. It is in the. Let me get you a link, and I can actually post it in later. Unless there was one from yesterday, but it is not in the marketplace in per se, but it is available for you to grab. There's another plugin that I really like to use. It's called Mimic, and so what Mimic does is it does something very similar. So if I grab this URL, and this is in the marketplace, so feel free to just grab this, and you're able to paste the website of any URL you have, and you can extract. And then once you do that, where are they going? Let's try this again. Boom, Mimic, you paste, extract. There it goes. So what that does is it takes the content that you're looking for from a web experience, and then it gives you like a little design system. And so it gives you the font that's used, it gives you all the colors that are used, and any images that they might have used as well. So that way you can get some of your images and really quickly take some stuff in, and then you can then work with it right away, so you don't have the need to like contact someone from any team and hey, can you get me that like high resolution image from so and so website? And so like you can actually just take it in and roughly prototype really quickly. So it's all about like using these tools and these plugins and the panel that's available to like just speed up your workflow, because sometimes things take a little too long. And there's tons of them. So. And the question is like, how do you paste JSON? This is something that I think either it's something that maybe my browser is not showing you, but as soon as I click this little XD icon, it does copy the JSON, and the JSON is basically like all the code that is in this file, and so it just kind of takes that away from it, and it allows you to just like paste it into the design importer, so like that. So you have all that there. Yeah, so to copy the JSON, you do need this plugin, which is the Chrome extension. So I will, when we're back on Elizé's screen, I will go ahead and find that link for you, and I will post it. But in the meantime, make sure that you are, if you're trying to submit a design to the Creative Challenge, go ahead and do that. You have 2 more minutes before we review, so that'll be, if you want to get your design looked at, now is the time to submit, and that would be really, really great to see your work. That's the whole purpose of this, is to give feedback and to give constructive feedback.
Oh. All right, so I've created all the screens, at least all of the screens for the flow here. And so now what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to try to use Auto-Animate, so that when you've selected something, like you say no, then it's just gonna slide left and the new one's gonna slide in right. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to group these guys here. And I'm going to, so this group, I want to move left onto this screen. So I'm gonna paste it in here. It's beautiful, just like that. And then you just shift it over, and then you change the appearance to 0. And then I'm gonna go in here, and I want this guy, I'm gonna group it. I want this to come into, and I paste it into here, and I want it to come in from the right-hand side. So when I prototype this, I want it to be on Auto-Animate, and I'm gonna keep it on like ease in and out at 0.3 seconds. And so let's test it out. So just like that. See it? Yeah? Yeah? I love it. I love Auto-Animate. I'm super jazzed about it. Like, deep. Feels good, right?
It does.
It's like slides right in there.
Those micro interactions are also like very pleasing to show any client because they see that and they're like, oh.
I know. I impress some of my clients when I'm like, I don't do it everywhere, but I do in certain places for them, and they're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, and so we're countdown is over. If you had a design to review in the design challenge, so we're gonna check out some work. You ready for a little bit of a feedback on some of these designs?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, so sometimes we get designs that are from past challenges, but let's just go from the bottom to the top. And so this is in Behance. It's for it's gym things, and this is by Fernando, and so the Creative Challenge 5, August 19th through 30th. So design an exercise class scheduling assistant that can be viewed on both mobile and web. So using the responsive resize for this challenge is what we're looking at. And we're focusing on the responsive resize and how we're able to like save time with this feature. So we have a splash screen here. Cool, I like that.
I like that. I've never seen anything like that. That's unique.
Yeah, using opacity
like the
and
squares.
shapes. I'm sure like if you had some Auto-Animate too, like it would be really easy to kind of like, if you visualize something.
Yeah, or maybe like push away or something like that.
Right. So the main screen has basically the calendar is the main feature here, right? And so I actually do really like this different approach at the way you're approaching the calendar with these dots. Maybe like thinking about like how the past months could be a different like shade, so you can have differentiation between the month we're in and the months prior and before. But really great idea on how you implemented the cars as well.
I also think that like I couldn't tell what month it was because at the top there it's a very light gray color.
Right.
And it's usually like on a calendar the month is pretty bold and a darker color. So
I was trying to zoom in and it didn't go zoom. There you go. Yeah.
So that would be another note.
No, that's a really great. I actually didn't know that it was there because my eyes aren't the greatest. That's why I wear glasses too. And so like the font weight is a little light and the color's a little light too. But great execution on these cards and to get more knowledge about the person that we're training with. I'm not 100% sure on what these dots represent. I think they might be like more information.
Yeah, those are called kebabs. It's actually a very cute name for them.
That's a very cute name.
And what it means is like it's usually used for get more information, but not everybody knows that symbol. It's not used as
I've never heard the term kebab. I've definitely eaten kebabs.
There's actually a whole like world of like hamburger.
Yeah, oh, it's
kebab.
true.
Like there's like I saw this like infographic about it too, and it was really cute. Like different meatballs. That's another one, like all food related.
It's always meat.
Yeah, it's really fun. I want to find it because it's a really cute way someone presented it.
That's really cool. Actually, I did not know that. I know the hamburger is a thing, but I didn't know the kebab was a
The
thing.
kebab.
But thank you for submitting that design. Really, really great work.
Yeah, I like that
and
a
so
lot.
We have another one here. It's this is from Santaji, and this is for day 5's Creative Challenge, and this was the same in the same style. So we're looking at a calendar for exercise and how we can scale from iPad to mobile. So this is really this is the first, and let's go deeper into it. Yeah, that's actually really, really great. The way that you incorporated color, it really pops on when we want to get the call to action.
Yeah, it's a very strong call to action there.
Yeah,
I like that color.
And so the way that you kind of separated out this like experience, like 1, 2, 3, is also a really good approach at keeping us oriented into like the order of like how we want this to work. So great job on that too.
Yeah, because your eyes move from left to right, so it looks like those are like sequential.
Yeah.
In sequential order.
And the translation to how it looks on the mobile is also pretty strong. And to be able to stack that, I'm still like looking at the bottom, like more of the footer of this experience on the iPad, and so. Those could be a little bit more structurally organized for me. I do understand that it's left to right. This week 1 kind of thing kind of blends in, and I'm not really sure what's going on with with these. I think maybe is this an exercise style? I'm not 100%, but I do think this is like still a really good way of incorporating responsive resize to convey the difference between iPad and mobile. And this one's actually really good too. So this is the dashboard, and like again, the use of color is really great. And thinking about like what the state that the active state you're in is did a really great job at using these, especially these big typeface numbers for some of these values that are really important to your statistics for when you work out. Oh, and there's a video. Look at that. That's cool.
Ooh, I like that. The drag up.
So yeah,
nice.
I think that really looks really great on the mobile, and I think there might be an iPad one too. That one looks good. So that's the drag animate prototyping feature, which is really great. And then, but yeah,
that's
really great work there. And
I like that.
Do we have time for one more? I think we do. Let's take a look what we got here. So this is another gym scheduling app. And so this is from Anna. Thank you for submitting. And thank you for also like naming it something that is really like unique. Gymific.
Gymific.
Yeah. I really like it. I really like it. And you're kind of thinking about branding, and that's a really, really great idea. And this is also really like just a great initial presentation too.
Yes.
But as you can see, like I love how different people have completely different mental models of how this can work, right? And instead of like using card systems, you're using more of a stacked system, and this is really, really great. Let's see more. Look at that. Oh, there's a video. Ready?
Oh, the calendar went smaller. Oh, ooh.
That's cool. Someone really knows how to use Auto-Animate, because that was really great.
That looks great.
Watch it again.
I like that the calendar shrinks down when you're scrolling.
Yeah, so that, and using Auto-Animate is really, really easy to accomplish something like that. So really great use of the Auto-Animate on that. But I do like the simplicity of it. There are some things that were in the other experience that we just looked at with more of like the statistics. That's a really good. I would love to see how you treat that and how you could animate some statistics as you add them. Like maybe there's like a really cool ticker thing that you can add.
Yeah.
Just based on like on this design, I do feel like if you wanted to push this further, but as is like a really great approach, and the aesthetic is great. Legibility is all there. I don't see any like initial contrast alarms. So accessibility wise, it just looks really great.
Yeah, I like that yellow and the coral color together too. It looks really nice.
I actually really love like yellow on UI. I think it just looks like, I mean, not because I'm wearing like mustard.
Someone likes yellow.
I do like yellow.
It's obvious.
I do like yellow.
They have a preference.
Do we have? Let's see what we got here. Let me check this out. This is another fitness one. I think open. Let's try to open the original. This is cool. Look at that.
Ooh, I love that illustration.
Illustrations,
there too.
right? Look at, and this one's too. Look at that.
So pretty.
So this is Fit Pro Galaxy, and we are also like just really loving like your presentation and your use of these icons. Would love to know where you got these icons, if they're your design, or did you source them from any of the there are millions of repos you can get stuff from. But it's still like being able to like find a really good icon or illustration is really hard. So I think you did a great job at keeping them playful and putting your own identity on this. And this is actually really great. Like, I would love to see how you would translate this into like an animated experience to like see how these micro interactions could play out. But I'm already like really digging this.
Yeah, it feels really friendly. I like the white space. I like the space between the elements on the screens so that there's a lot of room for, for your thumb to kind of move around there. Yeah. The only thing I don't understand is that red hazard looking button at the upper right hand corner. I'm not sure what that is.
I think that might be like their brand mark that they're kind of working with. It is.
Oh, it's just their logo. It's not a clickable element.
I think it might be a logo. That's my guess, but I'm not sure. So yeah, that's good feedback. And usually when you're using red, like red is a very jarring color to experience. But if that's what you're going for, like push that. Like that's okay. Like and you can have that as your brand message too, like pushing the boundaries or whatever. But I would say like very playful.
Yeah.
I would love to see how like a visual appearance like this could like think about gamifying the workout experience.
It feels very playful already.
It does feel playful already, so I don't see like that being a big stretch.
Yeah.
So if you could like think about a way to like make a calendar experience that's gamified, that would be amazing.
Totally,
So that's
that's
our feedback today. Thank you so much for your submissions.
Good job. Thank you.
We got plenty more for you to look at if you want to get inspired. Just head on over to the Discord channel, and you can find your stuff there too, and we can review your work. And we just like love to see the community submitting their concepts and challenging themselves to like use the constraints of a creative challenge to push yourself into a new direction.
Yeah,
so thank you
totally.
guys. Great work on those and all the ones that are up there too. Yeah. And so I think we still got some more finishing touches on Elizé's experience.
Got like 15 minutes
so
more.
She's got some time.
I'm like feeling tired. I think I need like a little dance break again. Like
Yeah.
I just need to move around. Do you guys, after about an hour and 15 minutes of me like designing, I'm like, okay, I need to like.
Well, we talked about music too, and like the importance of like.
Yeah, where's that music at?
Standing.
You're supposed to bring some, right?
I know. Well, you're the one that has the mic on the speaker. I should have put a mic on my speaker.
All right. Now that I got some energy out there and hopefully. Like, it's also good to move around a little bit when you're designing because sometimes you'll just be like this and like your neck is hurting afterwards and like you heard my neck crack yesterday too. It was like, so.
I heard that.
Yeah, it's good
it was on the mic too.
Yeah, it's recorded. Like my neck gets like real cramped when I'm like this. So you gotta move it about.
Yeah.
Stretch it, take a little walk, every once in a while. All right, so let me remember where we're at here.
20 squats. That's what Voodoo Val does.
20 squats. Woo!
And Santaji, he keeps a guitar next to him. That's also like, what do you do in between your design to take a quick break? Like, I usually just like go for a walk.
Know.
I go for a walk. I like to bother my desk mates, and but you have to see the opportunity to talk to people. Sometimes they get really bothered when you interrupt their flow. So music I think is like for me like how I like stay sane when I'm in a flow. But a lot of times when you're in a flow, like you don't want to get out of it. And
yes, I 100% feel that. I'm like so into it.
Yeah, and Udiel, one of my friends here, he does push-ups.
Push-ups, ooh.
How many push-ups do you do? I do them in the morning. I don't do them at work. I don't want to offend anybody with my bad
Offend
form.
people with your push-up?
Just bad form, probably.
Yeah, I dance, as you
dance?
can see, obviously, but I make sure to I have a standing desk, and so I just make sure to pull it up, and then I put on the music, and then I just dance for a while, and while I'm designing too, I'm like. My fiance does it too, and he's like, I don't care that if it bothers people, it should make them happy.
It does. I mean, I'm not gonna get offended if I see someone dancing. It's only gonna bring joy to me. So you're helping everybody around you. You can go get coffee, or you can chase your kids around, right, Alexandra? Depending on where you work can work from home, just as long as you do take a break. Water break,
take
coffee
a break. What are people saying they spend time taking a break doing?
So playing guitar, Julia never takes breaks.
Never takes breaks.
Udiel does push-ups, and so we all have our different ways of expressing ourselves, and dancing I think is probably one thing I need to start doing more.
It's good for the soul. It's good for the body. All right, I have a question. Get some feedback here. So we have this kind of sliding in, right? And then I have you fill it in, and then you get next. Do you think it should pop up, or do you think it should be another sliding here for when you get it says looks like you are eligible? Do you think it should slide in?
I definitely have an opinion. What do you think? So I actually like the way you have it. I think another sliding is a little maybe unexpected for what I would expect some sort of pop. Maybe it's a pop, maybe it's a fade in, but something where it's active, but it's not like overly active, like a slide.
Yes.
Right? Like a pop maybe would work. Because I think when you're going through the forms, it makes sense to have a slide, and being able to pop it up is like a really like friendly way to know that you're done doing what you were doing.
Okay, cool.
That's what, at least my opinion. So I would love to hear what others have to think
what other
about
people
that.
have
Like,
to
how
say
do you
about it?
expect that interaction to come forward, or is it going to pop up, or is it going to slide? There's a lot of ways to think about it. And so there's other things that people do. I show new tricks to my dog during breaks. That's what Alfredo does.
I like that one. I just wanted to show, like, I started another design here for the application form. So this is what it's going to look like. And so now I'm going to just be moving on. So I'm going to leave it like this then, if that's cool. You liked it.
I like it.
So, you know,
I think it
no
works.
slide in. It just comes in like this. And then from here, we're going to go into the application form. And I am just going to start plugging away at that.
And I did have a question on like a decision to think about like the CTAs again, just to kind of circle back on CTAs. And when you have a primary CTA versus like a secondary CTA, I know sometimes people have opinions about there being multiple primary CTAs on a page, and just wanted to know like what you thought about that as you're doing like a like this you know, understanding where you are in this experience with the time, and so you're having that slide animation come in, right? But like, so thinking about like your CTAs, so like, what is there any other ways you could think about approaching like a secondary CTA that's not a primary?
Yes. So I usually have at least two button styles. I think. I did create this one. Oh, no, I didn't. So right now I do only have one primary, but quite often I'll like have a secondary CTA, and sometimes I just do like the inverse, you know, where it's like I'll have a border and this will be like blue like that. So then that'll be like a secondary CTA like that. That's most common, the kind of secondary CTA that you see or will use.
And that's like Adobe system does the same thing. It's like just a blue is like, if you look at the XD on the top right, that's like their primary call to action, and then the secondary is an outline of that same design. So that's for me like something that I try to implement too, is like anchoring people's understanding in the way that you have like two things calling out at you, and is that something that is too much for people? So thinking about those things is like a really important step, because we don't want to detract from people interacting with our experience, thinking like we're asking too much of them, and sometimes that can happen. But happy to answer all the questions. There was a question that was about how to automatically switch from another page while in the same page. I think I got that right. You would essentially just use, at least in XD, Auto-Animate or transition, and have a trigger that you could put on your page that just like goes to the next page with that element scrolled up. So there are multiple ways. I think I understood that question right. But yeah, you would just duplicate the artboard and shift up the design. But you can also incorporate scroll interactions into your designs too. So there's multiple ways to answer that same question. And so that's how I would. So the design studio asked that question, and that's something that I would do. If you're prototyping it, you just create another artboard, and it should work. It should work fine. And thank you for switching from all caps.
Me?
No, there's a Voodoo Val. Thank you for the heads up on that. And so we're also like this meta conversation of what do you do during your working. So someone does a little Zumba, which is also kind of dance, right?
Yeah, that's dancing.
Yeah.
I love me some Zumba.
Yeah, there's at my child's daycare, they do Zumba every week, And so I do learn a little bit about like what she does at school, which is great. And like just like imagining like a class full of like little kids doing Zumba is just like
That's
just
the
brings a
cutest
smile on my
thing because
face.
they're like do, ah, do, ah. Yeah, that's very adorable.
Yeah.
So I'm making this button. I just have appearance of like 40
Yeah.
so that when it's filled, then you know that you can click on it and it's an active.
Default states versus active states, right?
Yes, inactive. Yeah. Default versus active. Yes. So that this will then be the active state when you've inputted your information into the fields.
Right.
I'm just due to time. I am going to like just power through and not do filled in states right now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and that's something that like as you have to sometimes sacrifice, but you know you're communicating the same concept, and you can always like come back and do that later. But I mean, the ability to prototype this whole experience is also just like a very, very like important thing to be able to like try on screen in front of a live audience. So you're seeing this happen, like this form design and designing forms is, you know, it might seem like a very like static or dry thing, but you can actually make it quite playful and especially the way you treat these text fields. Like this looks like a legit form that you're filling out and somewhere that you'd expect, like, which is quality service. And using like your icon imagery is also another way to like make this more appealing. And it just, for me, like just seeing it as is a huge upgrade. And to think about like where it has come from, which I hope we have time to see the before and after of the initial redesign.
Yes, I want to show that. So like something else I'm doing here in this progress indicator is like I made this line here and I just made it really pretty short in the first stage to show where they're at. And then I just made this progress indicator like a little longer so that if they're coming from here and I put on Auto-Animate, you watch it, it kind of grows.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool simple Auto-Animate
And you can
too.
tweak the time to make it like a more impactful animation too. Like play with the time triggers. Like, you know, there's no
yeah,
rules.
he could be like
There's no rules against that. Like, I mean, there are
7
there
seconds,
are rules against it.
but
You
that
don't
would be
wanna
kind of
make it-
like long.
You don't want to make it too long, but like that feels really good. Like the timing on that like makes me seem like I just completed something and there's, you know, like a feedback. Because you might blink and you might miss the interaction. So sometimes you time your interactions appropriately to that.
Yeah, totally. I am going to actually move it on to the final screen. Because what I would like to have too is I would like to have some sort of Auto-Animate once it's like completed. I was thinking about like, you know, there's a little check mark sometimes once you've done something. So I was thinking about that here and I was like, okay, maybe once you've completed your final step, maybe there's like a overlay on top. And this overlay might be like, I don't know, appearance of that, 80 maybe. And here then we'll have like a really big circle. I'm gonna use this gradient that I've been using. And from here, I am going to make the check mark. So with Auto-Animate, like, I'm going to use this vector to make the check mark. And I'm gonna make two different lines because I want it to like the first interaction to be like go down and then the second interaction to go up.
Yes.
So I'm gonna first make that first line here, just like that. And make it white and maybe give it like a 12, is that maybe 9? And then I'm gonna make it have round edges there. And then from there, I'm going to just copy and paste another version of that and move it like so. So now it looks like a check mark.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be centered. I kind of like, should it be fatter?
I think it's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know.
Just for this, like.
Fine, for
demo.
now, for now.
For now,
but
it's
I'm
fine.
like,
We can perfect it.
Okay, we'll perfect it later. And so then from on this screen, I want it to grow, so I'm gonna make this one much shorter. Is it still there? You need to make sure that it's like still on the screen. Then you can change the appearance here. And then you'll make another one where this is also all the way small here, and you'll change the appearance here. And so then we're just going to make the timed to, oops. Trigger is time, we're gonna say 0 seconds, duration maybe like 0.2. Same for this one. And then I'd probably have this go to this screen and I'd give it a little bit of a longer delay so you can see it a bit better. I'm gonna do transition and I'm gonna do...
Getting this last transition in right before our transmission. Keep
Let's
going.
see, let's see. Does it work?
Oh,
there it goes!
Boom.
We got the check mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are. We can see just, we can see bits and pieces of it here. You're going into the screen here. You get this little slider. You can enter your information in there. You're eligible. Oh, I don't have that designed. And then once you've gotten your application, you can fill that out in here. You see the progress indication there. And then once that is all ready, no, I didn't do it yet. Once that's all ready, then you're gonna get your little check mark and you'll go into the final screen.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Elizé, you almost did the whole experience. You did, actually, and it just needs a little bit of final touches. But thank you, everybody, for joining.
That was hard to do.
So you were with us for the last 2 days, and I just want to thank everybody that submitted challenges and everybody in the chat. It was really, really great, and please feel free to reach out to Elizé and go to her website. What's your website again?
It's Elizé UX, but if you can, go to my YouTube, Elizé UX, subscribe, and you may be in the running for a free mentorship session with me. Just send me a screenshot or an email.
Yeah, and follow me anywhere on Hidden Jewels. That's my handle everywhere there is handles to be handled.
Because he's hidden.
But I'm also right in front of you.
It was so great to be here. Thank you so much, Julian. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be posting the final designs on my channels so you guys can see what the final look feels like.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
And your UI kit.
And my UI kit. I have some things to do for you guys. Yes, I got my wireframe UI kit because I can't even find one. I was trying to look the other day.
There you go.
I can't find a wireframe UI kit.
That's what's up.
A simple one at least.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.